Alright, back at it again. I'm gonna mess with this a little bit. I should have just muted my volume instead of turning it all the way down, but I did not. So, we'll turn that back up. Life with a kid. So, my baby started crying a little bit uncontrollably, beyond dad's measure, so we put the stream on break for just a second so I could go give her to the proper authorities and get her calmed down. But it also gave me a chance to get uh, some snacks and whatnot. Can I still? I think I can. There's no one else gonna be here. Cool. At this point, my baby started crying a little bit uncontrollably beyond the scope of my ability, so we took her to the proper authorities to get calmed down and be able to carry on with the rest of the stream. Okay, now we're back from baby catastrophe. We can get serious into uh, actually working on this edit. I'm going to have it go because I know it's still got a ways to travel here before it gets to the point that I want to get to. Uh, yeah, so life with a baby. Now, no baby now. First segment we had my baby with me, which how many streamers today can say that they stream with a baby? Let's just give props where props is due, all right? Because that's a feat. That is a feat right there. But now we can get back into editing. I also got some snacks for myself for the tail end of this. Making an absolute mess over here. Okay. Now that we don't have a kid in tow, we can skip to whereabouts I think this clip is actually going to come into play. So we're going to skip way on up here. Grab the one piece blanket here. I got freaking hot in here, dude. Something that I guess runs in me and my wife, and apparently our kid is being a little absolute toaster oven because she had me sweating. And I know she was probably getting hot too, which is probably why she started crying. Either that or gas, which has been the number one reason why she's been crying recently. But, if there was something that, one, given the situation of the live stream currently, which is perfectly fine, I just started, but for you people to listen to upon rewatch, something that I can talk about to myself, and maybe you guys can have some thoughts on, to leave in the comment section below when you're watching this, is the subject of childhood. Because I think I have thoughts, so I'm gonna eat this Oreo, and then we can get into my thoughts. So, childhood. Well, not really childhood, more child rearing and bringing forth and bringing up a child. It is it is an experience that you it's an experience that you can't understand until you go through it. Everything about it, you really just can't understand it till you live it. And I'm sure there are other situations that are like that in life. Off the top of my head, I can't really think of any. Like maybe skydiving. Uh, I mean, people say it about like stuff as simple as kind of like getting a tattoo. Like you don't really know what getting a tattoo feels like until you get one, which is partially true, but not really. Having got, sorry, gotta fix my blanket here. Having gotten a tattoo, granted, not from a professional tattoo studio, from a home kit from some friends, you could describe that feeling. Like you could get someone acquainted with what to expect when they're gonna get a tattoo. You you can't do that with anything in the childbearing process. Um, it was such an eye-opening experience going through it all and living it. It's crazy. But I don't have to share like my personal experience. I don't have to turn this into my personal experience with child rearing because I mean, that's my personal experience. I get to have that unless someone asks me about it and wants me to share it, and I feel obliged to respond to them. So I'll keep that to myself. But it is interesting, kind of the place having children and raising children sits in our society today. That phrase, since going through college, I cannot say anymore without judging myself super harshly because I had so many professors. Well, not really so many, but every professor that basically wanted me to write an essay or write a paper or analyze a certain subject in time. I hated that phrase and were like, don't use it, don't ever use it. So it's been burned out of my vocabulary. But it's an effective word to say. I feel in this format. It's an effective word to say. At the time of recording, in the society that I live in, child rearing is an interesting topic, I think. You could get super political with it, with all the stuff that comes out with pro-life, pro-life, pro-choice, schools, um, the age certain kids are allowed to do certain things, but there's no reason for me to go running off into those hot waters with th- this view count and unprovoked. So I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to talk more casually about everything. All right, so now I've realized that we've gotten this far. We need to go find a certain audio clip. That's 11 5 1856. That's so this one is the first one. Let's see what we got here. Holy crap. I can hear my snap. That's wild. The only problem is I'm gonna have to sync this audio to Inner Sandman that's playing in the background. Okay. So let's listen for this bit in Inner Sandman that we can sync. Okay. So it's not actually Inner Sandman, it's just a piece of Inner Sandman. Great. Why can't I find this? Let's see. Okay, I think I can do that. Where did Enter Sandman start? I think back here. Okay. I've got him talking to the kids at halftime here. Well, not halftime, but half field. So I need where he walks out there. Okay, so I can listen for the announcer. I wasn't sure if I could hear the announcer in my other audio, but I can, so I can listen for him. Okay, so there is about where that is. Stretch that out to the beginning of the clip. See if it fits. Turn it down. All right, I got no echo. So I'm gonna mute those tracks. Come in here. There's my snap. You can hear it and see it. There it is. So that's just after I make the snap. So the snap is somewhere in here. And snap. Okay. Okay. I think that's pretty close. Now, ultimately, it doesn't really matter with this clip because these clips have really no audio bearing on the others. They just kind of have to fit close because there's no audio overlap between these. So I can just get them close and call it good. And see, that looks pretty close. Looks pretty close. I know y'all can't hear it, but it looks pretty close. Well, it looks pretty close. So let's see what we got here. I'm going to see if my snap is close. Yeah, it's pretty close. Okay. Back on the subject of child raringness. It's weird, and honestly, I don't know how long I can play in placid waters with child stuff and kid raising stuff. Um, just because, like I said in the previous segment, I watch a lot of culture, political stuff, and so I'm aware of the divisiveness in certain areas. But I don't want to particularly talk about that. So, the interesting placid part about it is what I feel like gets portrayed about having kids in media, in life, just in day to day and whatever, and what kind of gets pushed to the wayside. Because what I feel like you get now a lot of the time from TV shows that you watch and movies and just kind of media jokes in general is that raising kids is messy. They're gross, they're smelly. It's like, you have too many, then you're always going to be wore out and exhausted and thinking about what you would be doing without kids. You're always going to be seeking to get away from your kids, and just kind of jokes and humor along that line. Um, and less of the super net positives that come with having kids. Um, and I feel like that has now gotten to the point where it's echoed in people that you generally talk to and people that um, you run into and meet. And when you find out that you're pregnant, people that try to drum up conversation regarding that fact of your life, and people who try to find common ground to talk about something. So they talk about kids and why they do or why they don't have kids and about their own kids and what you'll come up against and whatnot. But going through our pregnancy journey, there was a lot of surface level, surface level talk about how kids are messy, they're loud, they don't let you sleep, they're burdens on your time, burdens on your money, um, and all of this stuff. And they like change your lifestyle. It's like, oh, you did this, get ready to not do that anymore because you're not going to have any time. Like all these things. And so that just got portrayed to me and my wife a lot. And it gets portrayed in movies and TV shows and stuff of that nature as well, too, a lot. And so on on that level, I am in principle okay with that. It's like because it's not that it's not true. It's not that it's a lie. It is true. The kids are messy. They cry. They can't do anything themselves. They're a burden on your time. They're a burden on your wallet. That they're all of these things. So it's not that it's not true. Um, to a degree, it's it's the amount that you see it, not coupled with the healthy side. So them making the points like that and them talking about that and talking about how all of that true stuff happens, and there will be days you want to get away from your kids, and they are loud and they are noisy and they don't do anything, they're burdens on you. All that being true, it is 90% of what gets talked about casually with children and having kids. And I just think that that does the, I don't know what you call it, does the activity of having kids an injustice, because that's not ultimately what it's all about. Um, that's not actually the most important thing. That's not actually the key issue of the of having kids. And so I think when you portray 90%, 80 to 90% of the having kid experience as all of the negatives or all of the less than ideals, I think you do it as an institution in our society a disjustice or an injustice. Um, I really only have I really only feel that way because it's I think there's a certain level of of flippance. I think that's a word, like flippant attitude, but like flippance as an adjective. Um, or I guess as a verb. Anyway, there's a certain amount of just disregard, I think, that we have these days with um, what does and doesn't affect us and what does and doesn't have long term effects down the road. Because I don't want to go on like tangents forever and ever. So I want to string this together live as coherently as I possibly can. So I guess I'll start personal and work out. I think that's the easiest way I can do it. Start from a single point and work out to all the other points. Just listen to some guy tell me I had to back up. It was fun. This game was an interesting game. Uh, that's besides the point. See if I can hear when he kicks the ball off. Let's see. Usually there's always at these high school games some oh, so we're gonna see if we can hear it. Nope, can't hear it. Okay, so on to the next clip. Okay, so personal experience wise, I am only 3 days into having a kid. So, expert opinion? No. An opinion? Yes. So, an opinion with some amount of validity, because I am at least in it now. Okay, he just finished saying something. This conversation is going to get interrupted a million times. I'm so sorry. But that's just the way it goes. I would love to just have a stream, the format that that Mike Winger has. So Mike Winger, if you haven't listened to anything or any of his streams, definitely go check his streams out. Um, they're awesome. I love listening to them. But I would love to have a stream like he has streams where he can just like kind of sit and talk with people about problems and do stuff like that. But it's not me at this point. I have no ground to stand on doing stuff like that. So we're not going to do that. So our conversations are going to get interrupted by me editing, gaming, taking sips from my Zevia soda, and so on. So now, my personal experience with a little bit of child rearing that I've had so far is one, my sleep has gone down already in 3 days. Shocker. So, sleeping schedule, I've already seen how that gets wrecked. She's messy. I've changed some messy diapers. I've been thrown up on. Uh, I've seen the mess. Okay? The first baby poops are the worst baby poops. Okay? And I've seen it. So, got that. Checked it off. So, I've seen the messes. Have I had a full blown diaper blowout yet? No. But I've been thrown up on. I've changed dirty diapers, all that. Um, she's made noise. She's cried. She cried the end of the last segment. So, she cries. She does that. So all the things, and yeah, and now, ever since my wife got pregnant, I have not gone and spent money the way I want to spend money. I have not, well, the way I would spend money for just myself. I have not gone and spent money like that. I've been a lot more conservative with spending, things we do, activities we do. Me and my wife, we haven't traveled immensely because we decided to have a family young. We made sacrifices there. So the child has put all sacrifices. So I've lived through the negative or the jokes that are made about child rearing. I've lived through a chunk of them, and I've only been a father for 3 days. Um, so I understand those to a point. I'm sure it's only going to get worse as they get older, start to become their own person, have their own opinions, tell you no, um, everything else under the sun. Um, I'm sure that it is only going to get worse. But the big but to all of that, which is really what this whole thing centers around, is that big but is when. Where do I want to start? Okay, what happened first, most obviously, was changing diapers. Okay, changing nasty diapers. The first diaper we changed for Navy, it was gross. If you've had a baby, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't had a baby, then the first poops are the worst. Because if you can imagine what has to be pooped out when the baby has not actually eaten anything, it's just been getting nutrients from placenta, umbilical cord, all of that. That's the that's the nutrient stuff or lack thereof that it's releasing from its body. Okay, it is horrible. Okay, thankfully ours, like, it didn't smell. Our experience with it, it was not as putrid an odor as I've heard it can have, which I guess is a little blessing. That's besides the point. It's gross. We go to change the first one of those, and we open it up, and that was like opening Pandora's box. We think she's done, open it up, just keeps going. We went through 4 diapers in one diaper change. Okay, it was just a fountain of tar, basically. Okay, it was gross. But were we sitting there gagging, grossing out, like not even scared to touch our child, scared to interact with her, scared to touch her, having someone else have to get in and do something else? Uh, were we having to do all that? No. We were sitting there laughing at it, me holding her hand and holding her and trying to console her, my wife just in there cleaning her up as it goes, both of us laughing the whole time that it's happening. And I need to listen to what this guy's saying, maybe. Oh, I can't see the end of his conversation. He does enunciate something really clear here. He says something there. So we'll listen for him to say that. We got to get through a couple plays on this audio track before we get there anyway. But the point of that is being that was happening. And we were laughing the whole time. It was hilarious. It was a funny moment for us. And I don't like getting gross. She doesn't like getting gross. Like, I don't think anyone really enjoys just getting that level of nasty. Um, but we were just sitting there laughing at it. And it is one of those things, which I think is going to be a common theme as I work through this, is it is different when it is your kid. It's different when it's from you, like, and it's yours. Uh, and also probably when you have the desire to have that, which is a big subject of this, which we can get to later. Desire to have a kid in the first place. Anyway, so us having the desire to have a kid, it was just different. Like, it was hilarious. It was a funny experience that I think I'm gonna remember for a while. It's one of those memories you're just gonna remember about your kid for a while. Okay, so there's one of the nasty things that they talk about: dirty diapers, changing diapers, getting pooped on, getting peed on, which also did happen, which was hilarious. Um, Super funny. But okay, so there are 2 things that people joke about and, get lopped in with the cons of having a kid and reasons young people don't want to have kids, messiness. But lived through it, had it happen to me. It was hilarious, which doesn't get conveyed on the opposite end. Um, Carrying on. The next immediate thing I experienced, no sleep. Okay. First night, honestly, dream. She was out. She'd wake up. She want food. You feed her. You change her diaper. You burp her. You put her back down. She sleeps for another 3 hours. Okay. Boom. Working with that. Second night, not so much. Second night she wants up. She is uh-oh, is this it? This might be it right here. We might have gotten to our fight. Got another penalty. Oh, I'll pick up on that thought here in a second. On this disjointed baby conversation. Oh, okay. So him saying it's good is someone over there. Hold on. Okay, he says it's good there. Okay, so then we can listen here. Right there. I'll put that there probably. Trade this on for size. I always like to go back to the beginning of these clips. It kind of screws me over in the long run, but it's efficient enough here. Oh yeah, we got craziness going on here. I only wish I would have had filmed the beginning of it. Wow, complicated. I like listening to the penalties. Anyway, point of this being that, well, picking up on the conversation we left off on. No sleep second night at all. Really none. I was trying anywhere I could get comfortable quick to snag 45 minutes between baby yelling and screaming and crying and all of that. Same thing the next night when we first brought her home was she didn't want to sleep anywhere except in my wife's arms, and you're not really supposed to fall asleep with a baby in your arms. So we were sitting there trying to figure out what we were supposed to do. In the end, she got her comfortable and she's like, okay, I'm gonna have to stay here and go to sleep, and you're just gonna have to make sure nothing happens. And I was like, okay. And so I had to wrap like around her and hold her basically in place and fall asleep super tucked because I don't move around that much when I sleep. She kind of moves around, and I just fell asleep like that, holding another basic layer around the baby so that if either of us moved or she moved, she wasn't gonna roll anywhere. No sleep at all. Tonight we'll see if we get a decent amount of sleep. Of course, I'm staying up doing this because some way I have to get back in a rhythm of one, editing this documentary, and also trying to give the live stream stuff the effort it deserves. Um, so we'll see how much of sleep I get with this. But all of that happens, right? And unlike the previous story with the diaper changes, you can't immediately laugh off or kind of enjoy sleepless nights. I'll admit, and my wife will tell you, I looked like a zombie that first night that I was having to get up every 45 minutes and walk around and fight tiredness and fight doing it all. I mean, it was taking a toll on me, and I think it will take a toll on me going forward. It is the limiting factor now in us having more kids is not another kid until the first kid is in their own room, sleeping through the night. Let's see what our referee here was saying to this guy. He's talking to this guy, he's talking to him, he says something back. So maybe we can get the start of this conversation when he's coming back. So here we go. I don't initially see it. He's talking to him. Okay, he says something. So we'll listen for his audio here. Uh, when he comes running back. So yeah, you can't laugh that one off instantly. Like, it's not funny in the moment, like the diaper changes was. But it is something you experience, and again, it's like anything with like having a kid. It's hard to explain, and you really can't until you are living it and experiencing that, which is, you know, oh, okay, is this him? Hold on, hold on. Oh, okay, yep, that's him. Interrupted again because I found the point. He had two. He had two receivers. Okay, he's talking to him. I had two. Oh, there it is. I had two receivers. Okay, that's him starting to say receivers. Oh gosh, that's too late. There it is. I think that's pretty close. Okay, I think that's pretty close. I get close to the screen when I want to hear the audio better. The same reason you turn the, what is it that you do in a car? The same reason you turn the radio down so you can drive better and not miss your turn. It does not help at all, but like it helps me some sort of way. Um, but anyway, the point, like, yeah, I was up all night, but it is different. On the back end in a sort of way. Like, it's got to be some combination of getting up to care for someone that you care for deeply. Like, it's got to be some sort of internal instinct of, our want to, or at least a decent amount of people's like human element to want to take care of people and take care of things they care about. Like, it's got to be some element of that because one, I could actually get up and function with some degree of clarity. When I got up, like I could do stuff and not be sluggish. Like I could just get up and get going and not have to stretch or drag my feet or other things that have happened when I've needed to get up to go to like work or try to be motivated to do other things. It was different. Like I could do it and I had the energy to do it. But also, I think back on it and I think, I'm staring down more sleepless nights. I'm staring down more pain in my sleeping schedule of having to feed a baby every 3 hours. Or having to wake up for something else if she's not feeling good or like I'm staring down more of it and it doesn't pain me anymore. It doesn't it's not like stressing me out. It doesn't make me depressed. It doesn't wear on me. Like, say, if you had a job or you had something you were obligated to do for work or for like a community service thing or like school, and you're like, oh, I gotta get up at 6 every morning to get to school. Oh, I gotta get up at whatever to do this. It's not that. Like, I'm not looking forward to all the nights of sleeplessness with dread. Um, and that's a harder point to hammer home, but it's one of the points again that gets thrown out with, the bad part of having kids is you're gonna have no sleep, you're gonna be a zombie, you're gonna be like you're just gonna want to throw the kid when they're just crying and screaming, carrying on, and you can't get them to be quiet, and it's 2 in the morning. It's one of those things that gets trotted out as like the super ultra negative, this negative stereotype with having a kid. But every time it's paired with that, you don't get the positive back end of, yes, but the people that are normally getting up and doing that, like, they will do it. They would do it over and over again gladly because they care so much for the thing that they're doing it for. Um, they don't dread future sleepless nights. They don't uh, it's not the same wear and tear that it is if you had to do it for a job or for some other obligation. Um, and again, like that's my personal experience with it, but I don't think that my personal experience is that different from a decent chunk of people's personal experience, so I feel like it's okay to generalize that as most parents' opinions on getting up for their kids. Then next one that you get a lot of the time with kid stereotypes is the otherwise burden that you have on your time and on your wallet. That one's harder to address with the way I feel like young people think about um, different things, but we can come back to that in just a second. Gotta run an errand, gotta take a quick break. I will come back to that in just a